All right, America, welcome back. I am Rich Valdez. I'm sitting in for John Tobacco and Frank Morano here at Liquid Lunch TV. And today marks the celebration, or the reception, I should say, that's going on at the White House this evening, where Hispanic Heritage Month will be observed by the president and Hispanics from across the country that'll be there in support of celebrating the culture. And I wanted to take a couple of minutes to speak about that because being the resident Liquid Lunch expert on being Hispanic, since I've been Hispanic my whole life, being born in the United States, I'm an American of Puerto Rican descent. I can tell you that the Hispanic culture is one that is very hardworking, entrepreneurial, is really a big part of who we are. Eating, if you can't tell, is also a big part of who we are. So we're talking about food and hard work and entrepreneurship and family and faith. And these are some of the key themes that are going to be discussed at tonight's reception. Now, I don't know if we have the video coming up from last year's speech, but irrespective of that, we do have a guest with us today that is going to be discussing a Mexican-American filmmaker and his recent commentary in Metropolitan magazine here in New York. And that's Jadan Horyn. Jadan Horyn, welcome to Liquid Lunch.
Great to be here.
So tell us about the latest piece that you're writing and the coverage that you're providing for this film and the gist of the film.
Yeah, so this past weekend I got to sit down with Colombian-Mexican actor-director Harry Geithner, and he is in the process of finalizing his short film, and it's going to be 8 stories on the experience of illegal immigrants in the United States. And essentially, I sat down with him. Metropolitan magazine gave me this incredible opportunity to cover Melania Trump. And then I got the opportunity to cover Fashion Week, and I actually spoke with a Puerto Rican designer, Nichelle Juliana, and we actually spoke a little bit about the experience of immigrants. But of course, Puerto Ricans are legal immigrants in the United States, and so
well, they're Americans.
Well, they're American. Yeah, I mean they're Americans.
Which a lot of people don't realize. Yeah.
Yes, but of course, but that is in stark contrast to the experience of other Hispanics and other Latin Americans.
Right.
And so Harry wanted to really elevate their stories and kind of, present it as a cautionary tale to other Latin Americans that are thinking about immigrating to the United States illegally. Because the entire crux of the story centers on the idea that the American dream is the American dream for those that do it legally. But the American dream becomes an American nightmare when you do it illegally, because of the fear that envelops you, the fear that you have, that the community has about, whether the exchanges that you have with the jobs that you take will open you to the arms of both the law and to people looking at you a certain way and judging you a certain way. And that there's a sense of justice that for those that follow the law, for those that pay the price, that all of the benefits of American society, all of the economic benefits, all of the social benefits, they're for those people. But if you don't pay that price, if you don't do things legitimately, then the price that you personally pay, that the illegal immigrant pays, is fear. And so his film is premiering next month, and the target audience is those individuals that are in Latin American countries that are contemplating coming to the United States but not doing it through the proper channels. And so to me, taking apart these 8 stories, whether they are people that have worked as dishwashers, whether they're people that have worked as models or actors, or people that have worked as drivers, they're really compelling, right? Like, you have 16 minutes, it's a short film, to convey 8 stories. And so that's really packed, it's really emotionally riveting. And, when I sat down with him, one of the things that's kind of the testament to the United States is that the host of the restaurant that we were at was black. Our server was white, but the busboy was Hispanic. And the busboy, the moment he saw him, knew who he was, knew he was this famous actor, and told everyone else that was back in the kitchen. And these guys came out, and Harry stood up, took photos with them, and our server had no idea who he was. And that's part of I would say the Hispanic experience that I spoke to with the designer Nichelle Juliana too, is that sometimes these things don't make it into the mainstream of American culture and society, and they're kind of there under the surface. just like, the individuals that live in this country illegally. They're there under the surface. So if we elevate their stories and we expose the fear that they live in, that they bring upon themselves, which is the essential just and thrust of this, then we can stop essentially individuals from being incentivized to come illegally, come through the proper channels, and embrace and be part fully of American society and American political and social culture.
So, Jadan Horyn, we're talking about a story by a Hispanic filmmaker.
Yes.
That is telling this cautionary tale of 8 different individuals that made their way to the United States, and it wasn't legal.
Correct.
And the trials, the tribulations that they've gone through.
Correct.
And I guess the moral of the story being that the American dream does exist.
Yes.
But when you live in fear and you don't come through the front door and you come through the back door, you lose out on that American dream.
You lose out on that American dream.
And it becomes an American nightmare.
That's
really, I think, a very profound statement. And it's also a film that would probably do very well. I really do think it would do well because it sounds raw. It sounds like it's telling you the provocative truth that oftentimes goes ignored when it comes to people that are trying to find a better life in the United States and die in the process, or get raped in the process.
Exactly.
Or get robbed by the coyotes promising that better life here in the United States. Now, I guess we've got a minute and a half left. I would like to find out a little bit more about how we can keep in touch with you, keep track with you, and get your final thoughts on this project.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow me on Twitter at Jadan Horyn, so JadanHoryn, or on Instagram at KAACJ. And you can expect my story on this interview. I sat down with Harry for about 2 hours. Part of it was in English. My wife speaks Spanish, so part of it was in Spanish to really convey some of the kind of like the more emotional ideas in the next edition of Metropolitan Magazine. So the November one is coming out in anticipation of October, so it'll likely be December. And I'll say this: I had the opportunity to sit down with him because the publisher of Metropolitan Magazine, Chase Backer, gives me this ability to sit down and do interviews with influencers. And so I got to interview another director, Matthew Gillen, on his short film that was about Me Too. So this is about salient cultural moments that we're having, real conversations,
social impact,
and making a social impact.
These films.
Exactly.
Well, as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, we will continue to follow what's going on with Jadan Horyn. Up next, we've got Jenny Beth Martin and the Tea Party Patriots movement. I'm Rich Valdez. This is Liquid Lunch. We'll be right back.